All right, let's power the machine up with the original electronics, because I've actually never used the handheld terminal on this machine. So let's see if that works. Looks like it's powering up. Frequency controller 1. Alright, so we got a few errors. First of all, we don't have compressed air. And we have some leak. It's usually the tube inside here that runs from this manifold to that one that has a leak after you haven't used the machine for a while. So I gotta fix up a couple of things before we can start testing. So as you can see, I've taken the orange plate out, and that cover plate that was underneath, but you can still actually not get to that cable track where the pneumatic tube runs, which is here. So we need to get to it from the other side. Well, actually we can do it from this side. If you look underneath here, there is that tube connected, and this is the tube that has a leak in it. So I'm gonna put a new piece of tube in there and then just run it outside for the moment to bypass it, and then just to get this machine going. All right, let's give that another try. So I now have this bypass running from this manifold up to that machine cabinet, the connector over there. No more significant leaks. Emergency stop, that's good. Error frequency controller 1, model error. Input test. Frequency controller 1 is off. Nozzle empty sensor. That's interesting because it doesn't have a nozzle empty sensor. So there could be something wrong with the input board. Let's have a look at that. So on this side we find the input and output boards. We got 2 output boards here, 2 input boards here. Now the one with the frequency controller error is this one. This is actually a new type. So I wouldn't think that that one is faulty. Let's change it anyway. We got to make sure that it is on address 1. Okay. And then we give it another go. Okay, so the problem wasn't actually in this board. The problem problem was in the one on top of it. So this one is now, there's some modification here, but this one is now on address 1. And then the one that came out of here, which is actually a newer one, a later model, I've put that in this slot and changed the address to 0. And now the problem is resolved. I always find it good to know that the machine is actually running before we start upgrading it. Let's turn on again. Okay, that's the display for now. Emergency stop, yeah. Alright, let's see it starting up. Just a little bit. Functions. What kind of piece? That's probably a bit too high, but it doesn't matter. A bit. Alright. Let's see what bottle diameter it is. Container diameter 60 millimeters. This is less than that. It's probably around 40. Yeah, that's 40. 40 there. Alright, that should work. Into defect. Right, that's not good. Seems to work, although we have some contour defect. So there might still be an issue with the communication board. This looks good though. So it is communicating. It's not 100% reliable. Well, I don't have another one of those boards over here, so let's just ignore it and see if it runs. Well, that's working. So I guess we can start doing the upright. This is the new set of controls that you'll be receiving. So we got the old handheld terminal and a new one, including a new cable. Then the old processor board and a communication board. This might actually look a bit different because this is the old type. There's also a later model, but it still has those two 9-pin D-sub connectors. And these two boards will be replaced by our processor board with a piggyback PLC on it. Then this is the 12 volt and 5 volt power supply, which will be replaced by this board. The 24 input board, which will be replaced by this high-speed version. Then we have the processor board for the detection unit, which will be replaced by this one, and the new connector board that goes together with that one. Okay, so this is very simple. We have to swap the power supply, the processor and communication board, and then the input board for inputs 1 to 24. So let's start with the power supply first. That's one. Then we pull these ones out. And this one. This one goes to the master terminal, or the big HMI mounted on that stainless steel post. So since we don't have that one, we're not going to use this. So this can pull out. Processor board pull out. And then we put a new one in there. Maybe put it at the bottom. Okay, so then this COM port is for the handheld terminal. This cable with those blue wires. That's the 5 volt wires, by the way. And this one, this is the cable that communicates with the detection unit. That one goes in here. Can put that one back. Then we need to change this input board here. So, undo that one, undo this one, pull this one out. The new one goes back. Make sure that the dip switch setting is on 0. Okay. Alright. That's all good. And when you're on this side of the machine, these connectors here, usually you have those slide-on connectors, like it is here on that power supply board. But I would strongly recommend to solder those ones, because sometimes they don't make contact properly. And if you solder them, then you have much less problems with that. So solder those ones while you're doing this, and then you're all done. Then we're connecting the new handheld terminal. New one is here. Alright. Now I want to turn it on without changing the board in the detection unit. See if we if that COM2 defect is still there or not. Okay, let's power it up. That seems good. The bottles are not ideal, but I'm going to set it up properly and then we'll do another test run. Alright, so now it runs quite well. Let's have a look at the difference. Alright, now let's change the board back to the new one, because we know that the COM2 defect did not come from this board but from the communication board. Alright, that will do for the moment. Alright, now we give it another try.